great. And last up, we have Debbie Welsh, who is the media archivist and media production manager at Allied Vaughan. Debbie?
Okay, I hope I don't mess this up. It's a friendly audience. Good. All right, I want to thank Wayne State first and Kim for allowing me to speak today. I wanted to kind of talk about, of course, where I work and what I do, and some tips and tricks on how I deal with my clients. First of all, I work at Allied Vaughan. Allied Vaughan has been in the Detroit area since the 60s. Just to kind of talk about how I do not work in a library, but you can use your archival practices and librarian information and apply those to working in a corporate archive. So Allied Vaughan used to develop motion picture film back in the day, and they noticed a trend, a change, was videotape. And so then they started to move away from motion picture film, duplicate and distribute videotape. Then that changed, and it started to work more in the digital CD and DVD fulfillment environment. Then that changed. So now we're into an environment where we support our clients' content that they create. So we don't create it, they create. Again, I work in a corporate library. I support clients, not patrons. So again, a little bit different world. Let me make sure I can do this right. Is that the next one? Yeah, okay. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my street creds. I have a bachelor's in fine art, concentration in photography, and I'm a Wayne State grad with my certificate in archival administration. So we talked about earlier about how you don't wake up one day and say, oh, I want to be a librarian, oh, I want to be an archivist. Sometimes those jobs find you, and so that's exactly what happened to me. I didn't end up being a fine art photographer, world renowned. So I work in a corporate archive, which I really do enjoy. So my job, I think, found me. What does that provide to my clients or my patrons? So even though I have my background in fine art and have my archival certification, I'm able to apply both of those skill sets to my clients going forward because what do they have? They have media, they have paper, they have film, video, photographs, they have media. So I'm able to apply a lot of that history of how to deal with photographs from a media perspective and also apply how to deal with them from an archival perspective as well. Hopefully I changed that again. A lot of times my clients may not know what they want. So again, years of experience, I'm able to listen to them, understand what they need, and then kind of cultivate their path into processing their collection. But what you don't say is the bad word, which is purge. Am I in the right? Yes. Okay. Yeah, don't say the scary word, which is purge. Is purge up there? No, not yet. Okay. All right. I get paid to throw away a lot of my clients' content. You know, I know that sounds kind of scary, but I do. On an average, from a client's perspective, they have stuff, and on an average, I end up only keeping about 10 to 15% of their collection. Now that may sound really scary, but a couple of things. Remember, the client can't keep everything, even though they may want to. They're married to it. You know, this is an experience. They don't want to give this stuff up. But the more stuff they digitize, the more space they take up on their hard drives or their servers, and then more problems they end up having because they have duplicates or lesser types of content. In other words, they might have an element, a piece of a show instead of the final show. So that's why I say I end up pitching most of my clients' content. But you don't say that word. Clients know that they cannot keep everything, so you must ease them into that by using best practices. What I do is I share with them similar sessions or projects that I've worked on. Many times they'll come to Allied Vaughan or me, I'll sit in with a client interview, and they believe that their situation is unique, and it's really not. Everybody has stuff. You know, it might be different, might be a different subject, but it's still stuff. And helping them understand that they don't have to keep it all, and that what is really important to their business, and maybe what kind of isn't so much important to their business. One of our main clients is General Motors, and I use the example that General Motors makes cars, but they also create their history as well. And so I help them curate down all the duplicate copies of their history. It doesn't get rid of the history, but it just helps them work smarter with the content that they end up keeping, the best of the best, so to speak. And this client engagement, this helps set the stage for their confidence in you. You're able then to go into the next client or client meeting and be able to explain to them confidently why it's important to take down 75% of the content, you know, without them kicking you out the door. Use archival terms like collate, curate, and weed. Now, those are terms we all learn in library school, but those are not terms that they understand. So, those are the terms that they will learn to appreciate later. Be an ambassador. The definition of an ambassador is a person who acts as a representative or promoter of a specified activity. So again, your client comes to you and this is their emotion, this is their baby, you know, this is their stuff, and they're nervous that they want to hand it over. And they're nervous that you're going to throw half of it away or whatever. So you have to empathize with them. And this may sound kind of silly, you know, but it really helps with your client engagement. You empathize with them. You understand their frustration, their being upset about having to even be in this position that they have to get rid of their stuff. Nurture. But clients may be afraid. Believe in yourself, and they will believe in you. They will then buy in. You need to get their buy-in. In other words, you need to by you establishing rapport with your clients and patrons, they then will believe you. So when you say, you know, you've got 15 copies of this, we're going to need to get rid of this, they're going to say, okay. You know, they're not going to say, let's just put it in a different box in the corner. No, you know, that's okay. It's okay to let it go. Provide an end goal for them. Communicate that once their collection is processed, they'll know what we have. My favorite term is, right now you have a black hole. You don't know what you have. So let me help you understand what you have so that you can find it later. Ultimately, that's the goal anyway, right? Make sure I'm on the right page. Okay. I just wanted to talk briefly about a client I had, the Salvation Army. Salvation Army received a lot of slides, 65,573 slides. They had absolutely no idea what was on those slides, but they knew that they were sessions, they knew they needed to have them scanned, they knew they had to have them processed, but they had no idea. What this started out was a simple migration project. And you know what, let me pause there and say, part of my job is really kind of twofold. I help Allied Vaughan with their clients with their migration needs, and then I help with consultation on the next step of their content, which is their metadata, tagging, informational needs like that. Now, that's not my specialty, but I help move them into this environment. My main goal in the beginning is to help them get their stuff digitized. So that being said, I'm going to jump ahead, but the slide collection was huge. And it started as a simple migration project. The collection needed to be digitized There was 3 towers, approximately 37,000 images in one, 23 archival boxes containing sleeves or rows of images. So this was all, she had this all organized in her head. The details were, again, just to digitize them, number them, label them. Pretty simple stuff, right? You think, any production house can do that. But what happened is that in this client engagement, I was able to help her, because now she likes me, now she trusts me, and I was able to help her understand that in her lifetime, her and her worker that worked with her would never get all this content tagged properly and indexed in their system, not in her lifetime. And she believed me. So that's where this whole relationship building starts. She believed me. And so as a result of that, I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but as a result of that, we ended up doing a huge tagging and cataloging project that was not part of the original scope, but she understood that that ultimately was needed. So make recommendations. Because your client trusts you now, you can have those conversations about tagging. And these are terms that they may not know. Now, the Salvation Army client in particular, I was working with a librarian. I was working with a museum director. So she knew these terms. So she wasn't like just a corporate company, So again, it's about learning your client and understanding their needs. I consider it a delicate dance. It's a delicate dance between educating your client engagement, and old-fashioned customer service. Be flexible, listen, and be engaged. Understand, ultimately, it brings you to understand what they need and help them get there. Summary is, knowing what the client wants is sometimes the tip of the iceberg. And so welcome to the Many Hats Club. We all talked about many hats, So, what starts out as one thing and you think, I got this, no big deal, it turns into something else, which is okay. Then you pass it on to that professional that understands that next step, so to speak. Thank you, and any questions? Yes, if that's what the client wants. A lot of times, more recently, our clients have analog stuff or the old stuff, and it's harder to find companies in southeastern Michigan that have these machines available. That's the first thing. Second thing is, again, because they're emotionally attached to their assets, they don't want to ship them off to China to have them digitized a lot cheaper. So that's the emotional connection. And then, just like with the Salvation Army project, if the client needs, so we digitize, we migrate, but if the client needs that second step, we also provide that service as well. Okay? Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
I think it's really important for us to realize, too, that no matter which niche in information management you go into, you're in customer service. So a lot of the things she mentioned are things that we all have to tackle with being in the public life. So thank you to our panel. I'm so proud of all of our alumni and everything you guys are accomplishing, and it's so great to share it with folks that are graduating or some of our newer alums. So thank you so much. So we're gonna take a bit of a break, a 15-minute break in here, and then there'll be 2 more presentations for you folks, and then you guys are welcome to join us next door. So thanks everybody, and since we're getting out just a few minutes early, I'll be back at 1 to get started. Okay, thank you. I know, so many people say that today.
enjoyed yours as well.
It was a lot of work.